Allegedly, maybe, perhaps.
For decades, the war against mosquitoes was fought with chemicals and nets, but in the late 1990s, a revolutionary idea took flight. What if we could use the mosquito's own biology against it? The concept of sterile insect technique had been used since the 1950s using radiation, but for the fragile mosquito, radiation made them too weak to compete in the wild. In 1999, Professor Luke Alfie at the University of Oxford pioneered a new approach: genetic modification. He founded the company Oxitec in 2002, developing a self-limiting gene. The plan was simple but bold: release modified males that mate with wild females, passing on a gene that ensures their offspring never reach adulthood. While Oxitec was refining the tech, the world's biggest philanthropists were taking notice. In 2005, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation made a massive move, committing $258.3 million in grants toward malaria research. This wasn't just for one project. It funded a massive Grand Challenges initiative to accelerate vaccines, new drugs, and crucially, innovative vector control, like genetically modified mosquitoes. This influx of capital turned a lab experiment into a global mission. The goal? To build a refractory mosquito, one that simply couldn't carry the malaria parasite, or to suppress populations entirely. However, as the technology moved from the lab toward the field, the world grew nervous. Many scientists and environmental groups raised the alarm about the unintended consequences of messing with an entire species, DNA. Even within the scientific community, there were fierce debates about the risks of releasing them into the wild. Critics argued that we didn't yet understand how these modified genes might interact with the ecosystem, or if the vacant niche left by one species would simply be filled by another, perhaps more dangerous: pest. The consensus from many was clear. We weren't ready for a full-scale release without ironclad safety data.
A few moments later.
Despite the pushback, the first stealth release happened in 2009. The location? The Cayman Islands. Between 2009 and 2010, Oxitec released over 3 million modified Aedes aegypti mosquitoes. It was a scientific success, reducing the local population by 80%. But it sparked a firestorm of controversy because the public hadn't been fully informed. Once the seal was broken, the releases expanded rapidly. In 2011, about 6,000 modified mosquitoes were released in an uninhabited forest in Malaysia to test their survival and dispersal. Brazil became the biggest testing ground, starting in Juazeiro in 2011. By 2014, they had a biofactory producing millions of GM mosquitoes a week. In 2019, Africa saw its first release through the Target Malaria project in Burkina Faso. And after years of regulatory hurdles, the first U.S. releases began in the Florida Keys in 2021. Most recently, the Djibouti-friendly ATM mosquito program launched in 2024.
And it's kind of a laboratory to try things that then, once you prove them out in India, you can take to other places.